Hello, beautiful human. You clicked on our interview with ex-ambassadors. Joyful is the name of their soon-to-be-released album. Joyful is also the name of their lead single. And these guys are joyful and talented and just good people. I can't wait for you to watch. And by the way, leave your honest feedback in the comment section below. Plus, we got a podcast, link in the description below, and subscribe. Okay, enjoy.
Let's do this. Zach Sang Show.
Thanks for having us.
What's going on, Sam?
Nice
very
to meet
nice
you.
to meet you, man.
Welcome to the Zach Sang Show. We have Heather, we have Dan, we have Sam, we have Casey, and we have Adam, ex-ambassador.
Okay.
I got a mouthful of Three Musketeers right now.
I'm really happy you're eating them because that's literally all we have to offer.
Oh my God.
That's a pretty good offering.
That's a great
most
offer.
places. They usually just have coffee, you know. That's pretty dope.
Well, you were out there
is the
chilling
meal.
before, and I'm sorry we had nothing more to offer you than a chocolate.
That's okay. I mean, I was asleep for most of that time anyway, so it's all good. I've been having some serious jet lag, yeah.
So where are we off the plane from? Where did we come
just
from?
came back from a European tour. We were in London, we were in Paris, we were in Berlin, Cologne, Hamburg, Amsterdam, Moscow, Kiev, and Warsaw.
What is a Moscow crowd like?
Amazing.
Actually, one of the best crowds we've had.
It was, our Moscow show was the biggest that we've done outside of the U.S. and Canada on our own, like our own headline show. It was really amazing. I mean, like, look, Moscow is a city. When you're there, it feels like a city just like every other city. I mean, it doesn't feel like you're in North Korea or something. You know, you don't feel like you're in an oppressive state. I mean, these are people who want to feel accepted and who welcome like an inclusive environment that we try to create when we put on a show, and who want to hear great music. And it was really eye-opening and beautiful, and it was a blast. We can't wait to go back.
Do we have a measurement system of what is a good show and what isn't? Like,
Yeah, how loud the crowd is.
Yeah.
If they're loud, it's a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it's that too. Usually, like that makes up for any little things that we mess up.
Distract.
That we can that only we can tell. You
Yes.
know, like,
Exactly.
so yeah, generally, if the crowd, if you can really hear the crowd and feel how into it they are, that always helps. That's a good gauge, and how loud they sing.
There was the Warsaw gig. Actually, my ears were ringing after that, and I didn't have my in-ear pack any louder than normal. It was just sheerly the volume of the crowd. It was amazing. That was definitely the rowdiest gig, I think, was in Warsaw.
Yeah.
because you can feel that energy more than the other members.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, Casey, usually for you, you always say that the louder the crowd is, that's the more you can get into it. But for us, like, I can see the smiles on people's faces,
Or the tears.
or the tears, streaming down their faces.
Is one emotion more impactful to you than the other, or is it the fact that you're evoking any emotion from somebody that matters?
I think it's the fact that we're doing anything that matters. You know, it's so. We were talking about this the other day. It's like it's hard sometimes to see how strongly our fans react to certain songs. It's difficult to see the emotion that you put into something reflected so immediately on someone's face, but in the most uplifting way. It's difficult in the best kind of way.
Does that add pressure to the creating the art process?
I think it only adds pressure in a sense that it makes us realize, like, okay, the deeper we dig emotionally when we're writing songs, the more people are going to connect to it, and that's difficult to pursue. Like that deep digging of, like, who am I, what makes me tick, and what makes me me. What have I been through, whatever it is.
Does that end up becoming like a personal challenge? Like, how deep could I go? How can I analyze this series of events that I just experienced?
Yeah, I think for us, it's like, for me, as a lyricist, whenever I land on something that feels very uncomfortable, I know that I've landed on something important and that I should write about. And that's I think in part from seeing how songs like Unsteady really connect with people. That was such a personal song, and then, but also like how people process it differently and create their own kind of significance from it, even though it means a different thing to everybody who hears it.
What about Joyful? Because that's like the most unjoyful single artwork. And it
That's
almost,
what my wife said when she first saw it, too.
yeah, but it almost like it sounds like you're trying to be joyful, but it's like, is
Yeah.
the song actually a joyful song?
No, that's the whole song. The whole idea of the song is like the attempt. That's the biggest thing. That's what life is. Like you may never actually achieve ultimate satisfaction or happiness, or be able to really, really live every moment being grateful of what you have. But it's the pursuit of that is everything. And that's kind of what this song is. It's a frustrating thing to really come to terms with, knowing that like life is, or starting to realize that life is all about that attempt, just the attempt and just that pursuit.
What are you pursuing now?
Oh man, I don't know.
Playing shows,
Playing
writing
shows.
music,
I think
the
right
usual.
now, for us collectively, we are pursuing this next record as a way to define this chapter of our lives, and for me personally, I'm still just trying to figure out how to appreciate everything. In the midst of the chaos that is life, and with all of its ups and downs.
Because I mean, you say you got to figure out how to appreciate things. Things have moved pretty fast, and I know it's not too fast, but like it's been a whirlwind of the last 6 years, pretty much.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like how do you process it, and how do you do it individually? Is it time alone? Is it time together?
I think it's really hard for us to process it because we've.
Wow, your voice sounds so good.
I know.
Oh my God.
You never hear me compress.
Wow.
I don't sing in the band live or anything, so he's not used to this beautiful voice.
Get used
That
to
might
it.
have to
Just wait.
change.
Album three.
Album three. I'm taking lead vocals over.
That's right.
I've been waiting for it for my whole life.
But for us, it's hard to appreciate things because we set these goals and we've been really lucky to achieve some of them. And as soon as we achieve them, it's like we no longer are excited about that thing. It's like we just wanted to be a touring band that was able to like have any sort of relevance or success. And then as soon as we achieve that, it's like we no longer appreciated that journey, and it's the next thing.
On to the next one.
And so, it's a blessing and a curse in a way, because we've achieved so much, but it's really hard for us to appreciate it because we're just focused on the next thing. Like the first album was a success, and that's amazing, but we don't care about that now. Now we're focused on the next thing, and it's really hard to step away and appreciate, and that's what playing live really does for us. I think that is the time where we can appreciate things because we have a tangible response from our crowd. It's really hard to appreciate things when we're in a bubble in a studio for 6 months recording things that we don't know if they're good or bad, and it's very, we don't immediately write something and be like, this is it, this is
I
like
wish.
amazing. It's really like a lot of times in
it's
hindsight.
never been like that.
Well, I want to break down that process, right? So, like, where do the lyrics start? Who comes to the studio with lyrics, and how are you gathering them?
Usually, I come. I'm doing all the lyric writing, and sometimes it starts with an idea that I have fleshed out with chord changes on my own, and I bring it to Casey and Adam, and then we all work on it collectively together. Or with something like Joyful, Casey had these chord changes that he had sent to me that were kind of sitting on my phone, and I pulled it up in the car one day on the way to the studio and just started singing that hook over it, and then spent the rest of the day working on the song with Adam, and then on my own. And it comes in different ways. Sometimes it's just a melody that we have over a beat, and the lyrics don't come for a very long time. you know, it varies. It really depends.
But you sit on that beat knowing that it could be used one day.
Yes, yeah, for sure. If for us or for someone else, you know, we've started to branch out into writing and producing with other people too now. So that kind of opens up the possibilities, which is really exciting. And honestly, like, I think great for us because we write so much all the time now to be able to write songs and be like, oh, well, you know, this doesn't necessarily feel like our next single, but this could be someone else's next single.
But are there different parts of yourself that you access to get the two different types of songs out?
I don't know. I think I try. I know that I have many different sides to myself, and I allow, when I'm writing, you know, when we were writing for this record, I just lyrically and melodically and vibe wise, it was just like just do everything, and see what resonates the most, you know, amongst the three of us. And that kind of led us to, you know, this more soul-infused sound that you hear on Joyful and Don't Stay. But, you know, I just kind of... The best songs usually come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
But
you know?
it comes out of nowhere, but somewhere at the same time.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember the first record you ever wrote?
First record I ever wrote was probably when I was like 12 or 13. It was a song called Lead Rose.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
It was
heavy.
like- it was
For
like,
a 12-year-old.
Kiss
me, my lead rose, cold enchantress.
That was oh my god! How do you
Kiss
remember all
me,
this?
my lead rose. I'm a hopeless romantic.
You can tell we were children of the '90s, you know.
Wow.
Very intense
It was
children of the
full
90s.
on.
Wow.
It was full on like Matchbox 20.
I like that.
I'm like blushing so hard right now remembering that song. Oh my god.
That's so funny.
I'm really impressed you can remember it, though. Props.
I've never heard that.
I like the use of Enchantress. I like that.
Nice, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The rhyme scheme is actually on point, kind of.
Good.
Yeah.
Does he come to you, Casey, and go, I wrote this song? You know, what do you think?
He does, but he's accused me of being too positive about everything. You know, I usually say that's awesome, and because it usually is.
Yeah.
Aw.
Adam has taken on the role of the one who just can tell me if it's garbage or not,
He's your brother, you know?
which is great. I know Casey's very
I would think
supportive.
he'd be good at giving him negative feedback as his brother.
I
Guys,
know, right?
they grew up in Ithaca, the most positive place in America.
It's a
True,
very
very
positive
true,
place.
yeah.
Have you been?
Oh, dude, I love Ithaca, New York.
It's
We're
really great.
We are very lucky to be on Z95.5, WFIZ in
Right.
Ithaca.
Represent.
And I've been there, and I went for the Ithaca Day Parade, where
Oh
there was
my God.
old ladies dressed up as
Oh.
birth control and
Yeah.
Black Lives
Oh my
Matters in front of every house.
Oh, you
Sounds
know.
Yes.
fun.
Represent.
Amen.
I mean, growing up in an environment like Ithaca, it is really endless love.
It is,
true, yeah.
it is, but it's also, I mean, that's kind of what the whole first record is about. You know, Ithaca is it's a beautiful place. It's a very liberal little college town, kind of a little haven, almost like Burlington,
Yes.
you know, or something like that, ostensibly, you know. But it's also in upstate New York, which is very poor and very rural in lots of places, and that, you know, is also a part of the community. It's a melting pot, I think, more so than people know. And growing up there, I felt that a lot more than I felt like where we grew up was out in kind of the boonies.
Okay.
You know, like we weren't in downtown, the center of town, like we were out in the country.
We rode
the
home on
outskirts.
bus 75.
Yeah, we rode home on bus 75, you know, and it was like, it was a very different experience. I took away a lot of, I felt, you know, pretty as accepting and open as an environment as Ithaca is. I definitely felt very lost and alienated, and I was like listening to such different music than all of my friends were, and it felt very middle America growing up there, even though it is this kind of like hippie little town.
Which I get that. And
Yeah.
when you're writing Lead Rose, what are you listening to? Are you listening to Goo Goo Dolls?
No, well, yes, absolutely. I was like a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan.
Nice.
And like Rage Against the Machine, and this is early on, like until like halfway through high school, and then I started dating this girl who like loved indie rock, and she introduced me to everything from like the Arcade Fire to White Stripes and then I started getting into like proto-punk stuff like the MC5 and the Stooges,
Cool.
and the Damned, and all that stuff. And then also like my whole life just growing up listening to hip hop and R&B and pop that was like whatever was on the radio. We didn't grow up in New York City or LA where all the coolest bands were coming all the time. There were no cool bands that came to Ithaca.
None. Well, not until
Yeah.
Cayuga Sound.
Not until Cayuga Sound.
So,
100%.
yeah, dude, I thank you. Last year was the first year. It was a big deal for the community.
Yes.
Everybody's supporting it. It's a music festival, and it keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, we're really excited for this year. We are gonna have Young the Giant and
that's
Matt
cool.
and Kim.
I love Matt and Kim. They're playing.
Yeah.
They're playing here tonight.
Oh, really?
They're so
they're in LA
rad.
tonight.
They're
Yeah.
so rad.
I love them.
Talib Kweli, legendary Talib Kweli, and then us again, and it's going to be a 2-day thing.
I want to go.
Yeah, it's fun, yo.
We really should go.
Yeah,
Those
you gotta
bands are
come.
all awesome. Dude.
By the way, there's
yeah.
this really cool hotel in Ithaca that's like a house kind of, and like that's where we end up staying every time.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go, and it's sick.
Yeah.
I love the city.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
dude,
really is a
absolutely.
beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. If you can make it through the winter, it's a
Yeah, right.
beautiful
Well,
place.
like I left thinking to myself, what if more of America was like this?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you said was there's giant mixture of like classes, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from like a societal vantage point,
Right.
There's just a mix of everybody, but everybody loves everybody.
I know, yeah. It is a really, really welcoming environment, and for us to have grown up there and been able to nurture our weirdness there was really lucky,
I think it is one of those things too that you don't really appreciate as a kid, but then you leave and come back and you see all these things that you didn't realize as a kid were so amazing because they were just part of everyday life.
Yeah, it's hard. I wanted to get the
Yeah.
hell out.
I get it.
Like as soon as I possibly could when I was growing up there. But now I'm just like I keep coming back.
Joyful, you guys are touring
Yeah.
until May 19th, but
Yeah.
we don't have an album release date.
No, we don't.
Neither do we.
Why is that? Is it because it's not finished yet? Is it the label holding it?
No, it's not finished yet. I think we're at a point right now where we have written so many songs, and we've got so many pieces of the puzzle there, and we're so proud of it all. But we're still searching for a linchpin for it all.
Okay.
Like that one special song that's gonna really, that kind of, I don't know, checks all the boxes a little bit. I know it sounds like very analytical and like, kind of like playing the game, but you gotta.
It has to be a balance.
Yeah, it has to be a little bit of a balance.
It's art and it's a business.
Yeah.
What was that linchpin for VHS?
I think Renegades. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It was.
There was a point, before we wrote Renegades that we didn't know when we were going to be putting VHS out. And then that we wrote that song and it felt like the album was complete. And then, of course, the whole thing with the Jeep commercial happened and everything went crazy.
Yeah, we had, up until that point, we had Jungle, we had Unsteady, and then Unsteady ended up doing like even kind of bigger numbers here in the States than Renegades did. But Renegades was a special song that kind of like put our foot in the door, so to speak, of where everything was radio-wise and streaming-wise and everything.
It was a genuine record, but it was also very commercial and very mainstream.
Yeah.
Where were you in life when you wrote Unsteady?
Oh, man.
That was written years ago.
Yeah,
too.
Yes.
We were definitely in New York still. I remember coming up with those chords in my little room. Me and Sam shared an apartment for the longest time. And I remember I'd come up with those chords and then sent them over to you. And I don't remember when that was.
That was, I think, 2014. we started writing that
That's-
song
yeah,
in
that sounds about
2014, and and it was finished. We put it on the Reason EP initially, which was the EP that we released right before VHS, along with Jungle, and then that song was out and had been out for 2 years before it started getting radio play.
So I wanted to
Which
know,
is crazy.
Th-
That's
well,
crazy.
No, it's nuts. But that does happen sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And for some, I mean, it happens a lot. But in particular, it happens with music that has a similar sound to you guys, like that genre.
Yeah.
Dude, Hey There, Delilah was around for freaking ever.
I know.
And then it ended up becoming the biggest song ever.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
sadly, Plain White T's do their thing.
Yeah.
But Renegade into Moving Day into Unsteady on VHS.
Yeah.
That whole album is a story top to bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're connected, and Moving Day was the connecting points.
Yeah. So that was like when Casey and I were really little, and we moved from Seattle to Ithaca, and we wanted to tell the story of the band and who we were, and kind of give everyone a sense of the history that exists in this band. This next record is also a little bit of a story. A dear friend of ours has been going through rehab and is struggling with addiction and substance abuse for a while, and that was something that affected all three of us, and we kind of ended up writing a lot of songs about that and that experience for this record. So that's kind of what this story is about. The heartbreak and frustration and guilt and and ultimately reconciliation and forgiveness that comes with essentially kind of like a almost like a breakup or a distancing from someone so close to you.
Have you reached that point of reconciliation as of this moment?
Somewhat, kind of. It's still a little unresolved, and I don't really want to speak too much specifically about this person because like for their own anonymity's sake, but it's still a process of forgiving and moving on and like letting go of, I think for me, a lot of my own guilt, of maybe being an enabler in some ways to this person. It's if you know anyone who is sober or who's been through that, it's a really eye-opening experience.
Been through it personally?
Yeah.
And yes, 100%. I'm just wondering, is this reconciliation connected to the linchpin that you are waiting for? That one record that needs to come? I mean, if it's a story and it needs to be completed.
We wrote something that I feel like touched on that, and maybe I need to take it a step further and write something else that goes even further. But I don't know. I think the trouble is, and I was talking this morning with someone about this, like now that we know what we still need for this record, it's like a process of almost like forgetting that and like and not trying to pursue it in order to get it.
Just let it happen naturally.
Just let it happen naturally and just keep writing and keep writing. That's what's worked for us in the past, and I think that's what we have to do, and just be patient.
You guys say you always write. What's the longest you've gone without writing?
A week.
It's hard to say. I mean, because it depends on what you mean by writing. Like it usually won't be more than a week that I'll go without, at least throwing some little idea down, or I sit down and play the piano every day, just improvising and making stuff up, and sometimes I'll remember things that I've come up with, just sitting and playing, and that'll be the start of a new idea, that kind of thing. It's
I think Quincy
ephemeral.
Jones tries to write a little melody every single day. Like he tries to come up with some little thing just every single day, and even if it never goes anywhere,
it's for him.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all try to do.
I think it's more like, what's the longest we've gone without writing something good? Because we're always
It's been long
writing
stretches,
stuff, but you have to as Sam says a lot, get through a lot of like really bad
There's
ideas.
a lot of really bad stuff.
And
A
sometimes
lot of lead roses.
it's
lot of
like
lead
sometimes
roses
you
out
feel
there.
like there have been times where we've been writing and it's like we'll be writing constantly and there'll be like a month where it's like 5 or 6 songs that we are really proud of are written in that time, and then there'll be 3 months where we might not even have one that we want to keep, and then it's like very cyclic in that way. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
How
When you get on a little roll, you stay on that roll, and then when
kind of, but there's like no rhyme or reason. Sometimes there's like you're on a roll, and sometimes you're just kind of like digging through the mud to try to like
Oh
get
my
back.
God. Yeah,
it's really true.
I unfortunately have a personality trait of if I'm working on something, it's really hard for me to just like kind of leave it and move on to something else and pursue
that.
something else. I will bang my head against the wall until I just can't think anymore. Sometimes that works.
Like literally banging your head against the wall.
But
Like,
then
yeah.
sometimes
Shakes
you're
the
just
brain cells loose.
yeah, sometimes you just got a giant bump on your head for nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
But then is your day spent? Like after you're freaking out over this one
Yeah.
record, you can't go back in.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. So I'm trying to shift gears to like, if I get stuck on something, just like, and I want to keep working, I'll refocus that energy that I still have into something new.
So how do you hit those high notes and don't stay?
They are high,
I
dude.
had a surgical procedure to
Okay.
castrate myself. No. I've been working slowly on my falsetto, and just work. I work with a vocal coach. His name is Eric Vitro. He's a great dude.
The best ever.
The best ever. And I take really good care of my voice too. I try not to. I don't really drink so much anymore. I avoid like acidic foods, and I use a steam inhaler, which is just like a little thing you buy at CVS that creates steam, and I just sit with that on my face for like.
So rock and roll,
it's
man.
so rock and roll. I know.
So
I
can
know.
you like just do that right now, or do you need to warm up?
I would need to warm up. If I just tried to do it right now, I'd probably
Yeah.
hurt
You
myself.
got to FaceTime
What's a hot-
Eric. You got to.
What's a high note warm up?
High note warm up is,
Oh, you
is
don't
like
even
a
wanna know.
oh my god,
It's the best.
I want to hear something.
it's the silliest stuff. Like I'm trying
Do
to
the
think.
silliest
My favorite,
portion.
my favorite one is the pain.
Oh yeah, like a lot of that stuff, and then like
I like it.
and then like I do one where I like have to I bounce up and down and like I'm doing
Wow.
weird stuff with my hands. It's really I sound like I belong in a loony bin when I'm doing
But it
it.
works.
Listen,
It
me and
works.
Heather were trying to recreate it yesterday. We were listening to the song. And we were like,
I was.
"Stay!" Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, it's. No,
Yeah.
I didn't even try. Dan just did it. I didn't even try.
I really had to work on it, and I had to listen to a lot of Prince records.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
And wait, did Ryan Tedder help with that song, right?
Yes, he
Why do you want to
did.
bring him in?
Because I've always loved his writing. I'm a huge fan of pop music, and I think he's an incredible songwriter and pop writer. And we had met like a couple months prior to that, and just like sat down, talked about music, and we talked about doing something together. And I got into I came over to his studio, and because I didn't know like what kind of vibe he was into of ours. And I sat down and I started playing him some of the new stuff, and I played him Joyful. And he was like, whoa, this song. And the minute I heard him say that, I was like, okay, this is a guy that I want to work with. Because that song, it feels like so different than anything that we've done before, and it feels very classic, and it felt bold. And to see him react so strongly to something like that, I was like, I want to work with someone like you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you mentioned you love pop music because you always like. I just imagine you guys always as this rock band, this indie rock band. But
Yeah.
I was listening to the VHS again, and songs like "Gorgeous" almost kind of sound like
Yeah.
modern day pop songs, kind of
Yeah.
like what Niall and Harry Styles are doing.
We love pop music. We've always loved pop music. I think that the structure of it, I find so much freedom and liberation in like the pop structure and like just like the Beatles kind of found that same, not comparing us to the Beatles at all. I'm not comparing us to them. But like the way that there's that kind of structure that exists. Like you start with a chorus, and then you go into a verse, and then you get a pre-chorus, and then you get a chorus, and then you have a post-chorus, and you got like a hook. Like I love working in that context with our music, and yeah, I've always kind of I think we all collectively have gravitated towards that.
Did Alex the Kid help with that appreciation?
Yeah, I mean, he really taught me a lot about songwriting and song structure just by like sheer volume. I mean, when you work with that guy, it's like you're just writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and throwing a million things against the wall to see what sticks. And he's sitting back there saying, nope, 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 nope. That's okay. Nope, 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 nope. That one's cool. Nope, 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 nope. And it just teaches you by just sheer like just by just the act of doing it over and over and over and over again that you start to get it.
You have strong ties with Imagine Dragons. They actually helped discover you.
Yeah, yeah. They heard us. When was it? Back in
2012,
I think.
Yeah, in Norfolk, Virginia.
On the radio.
On the radio,
Yeah.
we had a song that was a really weird thing, but it got synced in some TV
One Tree
show.
Hill.
One Tree Hill, in the last season of One Tree Hill.
Cool.
Best
And
show
then-
ever.
I have
Which
no
song
idea.
was it?
It's called
Toast.
Lee Toast.
Okay.
Which was on our first EP. And the song like got on the radio in Norfolk, Virginia randomly. And then by the end of the year, it was like the most played song of the year,
Nice.
How great.
which is crazy.
on this one radio station.
Yeah, one station. It was like we'd go to Norfolk and play to like 1,500 people and then go to Philly and play for like 3. That actually happened. But yeah, I guess the Imagine Dragons guys heard a different song, and brought it to Alex the Kid, and we got a call, and it was really just a crazy coincidence.
What have you learned from those guys?
To just be nice people.
There you go.
It's important.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah.
and like very like
Not that
nice
we weren't.
professional. Yeah. To be
were people
honestly,
before
especially seeing
People.
well, so they also took us out when they were just starting to get big on their first arena tour. They took us out, and I remember just basically seeing how you not only is it best to just be a nice person, but also how there's a level of professionality that you have to maintain when you're on that level of touring. Where you have to be on time. You can party and have a good time, but you got to be on time. You got to have your stuff together, if you know what I'm saying. Just
Totally.
It's that I think was one of the biggest things we took away from from touring with them and working with them is that that professionality and that and being personable people as well. They're the best dudes.
How about creatively?
Well, I mean, these guys write like some of the biggest alternative songs, some of the biggest pop songs that are out there right now, and it's really inspiring to watch them go, and especially seeing this third record of theirs, like how the evolution, no pun intended, of the band on this record. It's really inspiring to see. And Dan as a songwriter, I mean, it's just like I've listened to these songs for that he's been writing for a lot of years now, and he sent me some of the songs early on from this new record. And it's so cool. It's so cool to just see them grow.
When you first listen to one of their records, what do you listen for?
I listen for lyrics because I'm a lyric dude, and I listen. I also love like that first track on the record. I don't know why.
Okay.
I love like that vibe that he does where he kind of goes into this like R&B kind of sexy vibe. We wrote a song together called Stranger that was on our Love Songs, Drug Songs EP, and it was so fun to write that with him because I was like, oh, I didn't know you did this kind of stuff. So I kind of gravitate towards those. So I always listen for those.
I need to know everything about working with Eminem.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you.
I want to know it all.
I will tell you how it worked for me. I wrote a hook with Alex the Kid in 2014.
Okay.
And then
Got an email.
4 years passed, and then I get an email saying that asking for approval for the song. I have yet to meet Eminem
What?
or be in.
Haven't you
the
done 2
studio
songs
with
with him at this point?
Yeah. We did a song called Wicked Ways with him, which was done back in 2013, 14 for his record then. And then this new one, Bad Husband.
Bad Husband's an important song for Eminem. I mean, it's the first time
Yeah.
he's publicly apologizing to Kim.
I know, it's really crazy. I had no idea that song was going to turn into that. I just wrote it. It was when we were writing with Alex for our record. He had this beat, and he gave me this beat, and he was like, I want to write a song called Bad Husband. He had the title already, so I was like, all right, cool. And so we started working on the lyrics for it together. I wrote verses, and there's like a whole version of the song
Oh, wow.
that's just me. I think we were maybe writing it for Rihanna at the time, but then like we just moved on to other things. And
he hears that, and
Here
then
comes Eminem.
He raps on it.
yeah, he heard it and rapped on it. It was crazy. It's so wild the way that these things work. Like you have, you have these little pieces of songs that kind of exist, or whole songs that you write, and they can sit around for years, and then someone can hear it and just take it, and then it turns into a totally new thing.
And what feels old and stale to you ends up becoming something that shapes culture and writes pop culture history.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really insane. How about Home with Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah,
Maybe
that
Rexa?
was so cool to be a part of that. That was I didn't write on that one, but I came in at the very end, and they brought this song to me and wanted to feature me as a vocalist on it, and I loved the song, and I loved the whole vibe that MGK and BB brought to it, and I was like, yeah, let me try and put my spin on it, and yeah, it was really cool to be a part of something like that, and MGK and I really got pretty close, and we actually wrote a song that might end up on his next record.
Cool.
We shot the music video. And it was like, I like you, and he was like, I like you too. Let's work
be
together.
friends.
Let's be friends. And so the next day we got in the studio together and wrote something.
That's like 90% of like the process is like connecting
Yeah.
with other musicians and having a genuine connection, because then
Yeah.
collaborations don't feel forced.
Yes.
You can open up as an artist.
Exactly. Yeah. It's we've worked in all the different ways now. We've worked via email exclusively, and not ever meeting the person. We've also been in the room with people, and in both ways can produce incredible results.
How
Which do
about
you prefer?
the Suicide Squad? Did you work with like Lil Wayne, Logic?
That was
All
again.
those
That
guys?
was like I had the track, and I was working. Dan had written that hook, and I was trying to come up with a bridge for it, and I wrote the bridge for it, and then all of a sudden there's like everybody on this track.
Yeah, right.
Again, that was just via email, and that's also how Alex works. He likes to keep things pretty close. So if you're working on a track with him, you're most likely going to be in a separate place than everybody else.
Do you guys think you get enough credit for what you do? Because I see some people and I agree, like you're just so underrated. I feel like you should be so much bigger. And obviously you're a big band.
Of course we think we should be bigger. Of course. I mean,
You think you get the credit you deserve?
I think that we need to find ways to be really grateful for everything that we have, and yet still strive for more. I think that there are so many days when I wake up and I think that, and I'm like, this is what more can I do?
Mm-hmm.
What more can I do here? And if you let yourself go to that place too often, it can drive you crazy.
How do you measure success?
I think just through your own growth reflected in your work, personally. Like I think that these new songs that we have written, Joyful and Don't Stay, are a real progression for us. And I think we've grown a lot as human beings since we put VHS out and since we put Renegades and Unsteady out. And just to see that reflected in our work feels good, and that feels like a success. I think if you measure success by money or by hits or by platinum records or Spotify streaming numbers, like you're setting yourself up for failure.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from Litos to now?
I think not giving up, which we say a lot, but because, there were, even before Litos, many times where there was no hope or no light at the end of the tunnel. And then, we got signed, put out a couple of EPs, didn't have like the immediate success that, of course, we thought we would have. And then like right before Renegades, there was like really just felt like there was no hope, kind of.
Yeah, look, it was so funny because we got signed and then we put an EP out. Unconsolable was the first single, and then the label decided not to go to radio with it, and we were like, okay, damn, all right, well, what's next? And then we wrote Jungle, and then Jungle got featured in that big campaign, and that was amazing. And then it was like, still not gonna go to radio with this, and it was like, oh well. What do we do now?
Try again.
And then and then we were working on this record, and we put a full record together and brought it to the label and brought it to our management and thought about it amongst ourselves, and we still felt like it's not ready. We're not ready. We don't have that thing. We don't have that one song that we need. And then we wrote Renegades, and then we were able to put the record out. We have, there have been plenty of other ups and downs since then, but it ebbs and flows. And where we are right now, we have a record that we're really, really proud of. We have so many songs that we really, really love, and yet, we have come to a point now where we have realized, like, it's not ready. It's not ready. We still got to keep going. There have been maybe 2 or 3 records that we've written in the last 2 years where every time we get to that point, we're like, okay, it's done. And then we sit on it, we play it for everybody, and we really think about it, and then we realize it's not ready. And then we got to do it again. And we write even more songs, and then it's still not ready. It's just, you just got to keep going.
But you can't release an album twice,
Yeah,
so
you can't release an album
true.
twice.
you got to release it when it's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Joyful. That is the album coming out when it's ready.
When it's ready.
Don't ask questions.
That's right.
Just let the process happen. But you can also see X Ambassadors on tour until May 19th. Love. Thank you guys.
Yo, thank
Back
you guys
at
so much.
you.
And
Yeah.
really, really, I'm so glad that you guys love the music, and
Seriously.
it really means a lot to hear.
Please.
You guys say that.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
So you guys, are you singing live and playing live instruments in your music videos?
Yes.
Why? It sounds awesome. It almost sounds better than the album.
Well, let me tell you this. So we wanted to do for ahead of myself. I had the idea to do a live vocal with the track just playing. I had a little earpiece in, and then I was like, okay, what are we gonna do next? Let's take it to an even bigger level. For Joyful, we recorded the entire thing live with an 8-piece choir.
I love choirs.
Oh my God!
I'm a sucker for a good choir.
I'm a sucker for choir.
Oh, same.
Right?
Yeah.
They sounded so good, and then we added strings to that, and then we did a similar thing with the Don't Stay video, and I'm dancing. I worked with a choreographer, and we really kind of tried to make it like an emotional thing physically and otherwise, and I'm also still singing live there. But I think Casey, you brought this up in another interview, just talking about it, why we decided to do it. Well, it gives something very, very unique to the video other than just the visuals. And like, you know, you were saying, Casey, when you watch a music video, right? It's
In quotes, yeah.
yeah. When you watch a music video, it's not any different than listening to the song.
Except it's usually free on YouTube.
Yeah. Right? But like when you have a live element to it, that gives something fresh, and that gives, you know, that gives something like unique. And I mean, yeah, I thought that was really, and I didn't even think about that when we were coming up with the concept of doing this.
You can feel it and you can see it. And I think the other thing too is like between your acoustic sets and the actual recorded songs, there's no difference in vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, the arrangement is different, but you can still hear it. It's a live show unlike anything.
Yeah, and like that's the other thing, you know, we were also trying to figure out what makes us us, and what are our strengths? Where do we differ from you know, anything else that you're hearing? And I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our live show, and the fact that we've been a band playing live together for so long, and we're pretty damn good at what we do.
I'd say so.
Thank you.
Will you
know?
give notes if something's off?
I mean, I always give notes.
Yeah.
But that was a real that was the coolest thing I think I feel like we've done in making those videos and making it a live thing. It felt, even as simple as it is, as simple as the concept is, it felt fresh and it felt new and felt different. And that's what really excites me, when you can take something that everyone takes for granted and change it.
Also weird that, you know, real music is taken for granted.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to the future.
Isn't that backwards?
It is backwards.
It is
Hey.
what it is.
Ex-ambassadors, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, guys. You guys
Thank
are
you, guys.
awesome.
Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you did, please subscribe and also check out our podcast. There's a link in the description, and also comment and like and do things. Other interviews are on the screen somewhere, so click them. Thanks for watching.